Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my AM reading video for, let's just go ahead and call it Monday, May 20th, 2024. Ay, 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 ay. I always try to get these up over the weekend. Although on Saturday I was posting my last video, and I end my videos, trying to tease my next one, and I was going back and forth not knowing whether my next video would be my AM reading video or my coverage of the Gaithersburg Book Festival this year, but alas, forces beyond my control kind of took that decision away from me. I had been sick. I think all my symptoms are gone now, but I first felt symptoms on Tuesday, and then I was off work for a couple days, took leave because, they were mild coldy symptoms, which weren't completely gone on Saturday, and also Saturday here was a rainy, dank sort of day, and so I decided out of caution that I should take the COVID rapid test, which I've never tested positive on before until Saturday, and so then I stayed home, and it was very, very sad. I look forward to this event every year. There was actually a lot of authors there this time, more than usual, I think, that I knew about and would be interested to see. And, every year I create a video for this channel. I buy a book to be signed from our flagship Politics and Prose, and also go to buy used books from our used library sale, where I get a little coupon for going to the store and getting a discount there, and it's a whole springtime tradition for me. But anyway, apparently I'm still getting flustered about it. It is very sad that I had to miss it this year, and certainly hoping things go better next year, that the weather is a little nicer, and also that I'm not sick. But what can you do, I guess? Actually, I was able to spend a lot of that day trying to catch up on writing book reviews and blog posts and stuff like that. I've been feeling very behind on everything this month, and my AM reading video should be pretty short because I'm focusing most of my time, as much as I can, on trying to catch up with my BookTube prize reading, which I can't talk about too much on here. But anyway, I do have a couple of things to share. As always, I will start by recapping a short story in the latest collection I'm reading from. I'm currently reading from Pembrooke magazine issue 55. And the story I read from this week is called Artificial Intelligence by Sharmin Rahman. It is a story that takes place on Harvard's campus, centering around an administrative assistant, or in PR, I think it is, called Nadia. The work stuff, it's a novel, short story that takes place, predominantly at work, but work itself is relatively secondary to the story. She's, putting together, pamphlets for a conference, and a young man walks up to her saying he's there to present. He's surprisingly young for what she is assuming of the speakers, and also kind of handsome. His name is Francois, and we learned that the conference is on artificial intelligence, on AI. So anyway, she sends him up to talk to a proper person, and isn't quite getting him out of her head, and what do you know, she secretly checks her dating app a little later in the day and finds out he feels familiar to her because they just recently matched on the app. So anyway, then she watches him during the conference, and it's not described in any particular detail, but the narrative wants us to think, he speaks well and commands the room. And then they kind of see each other, come across each other a couple of other times during the summit before this Francois is supposed to leave. And he always comes off as arrogant and smarmy. And she never tells him until the very end that they had matched on the app. And I don't know, I was starting to wonder if I should lean into the artificial intelligence thing, especially when Francois is saying that he doesn't use social media or anything like that. I'm like, is there some sort of, scam going on here? Did somebody make a profile with his identity or something? Or, is there a robot Francois walking around? Or I don't know, maybe that was getting a little too intense. But Nadine is a person who comes from a working class background. She's described as POC, and he kind of gives off more, arrogant white person vibes. And just, I mean, I don't think it's not something that's that, hammering you over the head with identity politics, but it is mentioned. And so ultimately, on the last day, they do kind of get together for something that may or may not be a date. I still feel like Francois overall has no redeeming qualities to him, and it doesn't really feel like this is going to go anywhere. And indeed, it doesn't. She does ultimately, tell him that she knows him from the app after he's been insistent that he's not on social media, and he's flustered because actually, apparently, it is true, it's him on the app. He says he barely looks at it, and they end up spending the night together, not having sex, but spending the night together, and when she wakes up, he's gone, and, has left her a little money that she gives to the housekeeper in the hotel room. And anyway, the story ends with that, she never contacts him, or he doesn't contact her again, but, she stays on the app and knows when he's in the area, because I guess it tracks that sort of thing. And it's like a testament to, her being close to something she could have, but not really getting. And I feel like that's kind of iffy and depressing of an ending. I guess I would have hoped that, in as much as this is a short story, I grew to, have some sympathy for Nadia and would have wanted her to have a happy relationship if that's what she's going for, and that she shouldn't just live all of her life basically not feeling quite worthy of it as the poor girl who moved into the city or whatever. But I guess in general it was a competent story, but I have some mixed feelings about it. And maybe that's an appropriate intro for this one as well. This is The Unsinkable Greta James by Jennifer E. Smith. And I read this book this month because I chose it for my page 112 tag in a recent video, which I will link down below. In that video, I read an interaction between the main character, Greta, and a man called Conrad, and because he was under some sheets, I was wondering if they were, lovers or something, although I don't think I used that phrase technically in the page 112 tag video. And, it turns out that, he was her father, and the scene was taking place when he was sick, and that he was in bed and she was visiting him there. But it was obviously an intimacy because of that. Kind of. Also, their relationship is incredibly strained. But basically, this is upmarket fiction with some romance elements, but not, pure romance. And Greta James in this book is a somewhat famous guitarist and singer whose trajectory had been going up and up. She'd been living her dream as, a kid who, had wanted to, was practicing and wanted to play the guitar forever, not necessarily want to settle down and have kids and a 9-to-5, which puts her at odds completely with her father. But her mother was someone who, just, although she herself was, a traditional, Midwestern school nurse, wearing loafers sort of thing, she was very fiercely proud of her daughter. But then she died suddenly of an aneurysm. And part of what that did for Greta is that she had a breakdown at her first concert after the funeral, and basically stopped touring. She had a hectic schedule, and then it completely stopped after that. And then her brother contacts her because her father is about to go on a cruise that he and his wife had planned for their anniversary, and now of course his wife isn't going, and so his brother is urging her to keep him company. They do have some family friends also going on the trip, and, anyway. But, it's sort of strained because they're both grieving the mother, and they never get along. It's like they can't ever talk without basically, it feels like Conrad is always judging Greta, and Greta's always feeling, defensive and victimized. But they go on the cruise, and of course the cruise gives, a great way for plot to happen, things for Greta to experience with her dad, and then also with this historian, Ben, who's on the trip because he's giving lectures on an Alaskan writer that he's himself has written about. and Ben has his own baggage in that he's separated but not yet divorced from his wife, but has feelings of guilt about, not being fully involved with his kids anymore. But they kind of, reach a rapport and have a fling, pretty much. Although there's a question throughout if it's going to last longer or not. And meanwhile, Greta's also kind of, having some loose ends to tie up with other previous boyfriends. And I'm kind of wondering if there's a little too much crammed into this book for Greta. And it was kind of took away from, the, fun, breezy, beachy stuff. And, it's interesting because we're also dealing with grief. But, I'm used to, reading literary novels, and there's just a lot of, focus on that, interiority and complexity. And I feel like, they, kind of just, she brushed over it a little more here, although I feel like it still could be relatable, the grief, but it just felt a little more topical and surface level, the ways that Greta was dealing with it. Maybe especially because also as a famous person, she's not necessarily as relatable as most people in some ways. So I don't know, there was just some of the plot stuff that I'm like, this, feels like convenient melodrama for them to have to deal with at this point or that point, like when the press, leaks a fake story about her being engaged to a former boyfriend, or I don't know. I think maybe there was a little too much and it took away from the overall story, but I did find it, easy and engaging and pretty fun to read. I guess the ending felt a little bit rushed, and maybe again with too many characters, this sort of, upmarket fiction couldn't focus enough on the central relationship. I think would be Conrad and Greta, and they do come to some realizations with the help of others about, how they could, relationship better. But it does also seem like at the end, Conrad's shift is a little more, dramatic. Like it happened more quickly than I would have thought, maybe. And also, to a certain degree, I guess, with Greta being the main character, she doesn't actually change that much in the book, but maybe that's okay, because, again, this is mostly, beachy, fun stuff. It was kind of nice to go on an Alaskan cruise with these people, and a nice thing to be reading amidst heavier stuff, I think. And on that note, I will hold up my BookTube prize book, which is Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. And this is a novel that deals with the prison industrial complex in the U.S. It's a dystopian novel that imagines prisoners fighting each other for profit, spectacle for, the system. So yeah, definitely a serious topic that's going to be dealt with, in a sort of deep probing way, because this is literary fiction, to, get my sniffly snobbiness back on again. But yes, literary fiction and nonfiction is what we are judging in the BookTube Prize. So the BookTube Prize was started by Robert at Barter Hordes back in 2019. It's for the literary book community to come together and judge the best of literary fiction and nonfiction published in the US the year before. So this year we're judging 2023 releases. We started with long lists of 48 books per division and are whittling them down through 4 rounds till we get to winners and runners-up. So this is the quarterfinals, round 2, and I'm an official judge for fiction Group C, which means I am reading this book and 5 others and have to pit them against each other for which ones will move on to the next round. For the time being, I can't talk about my, opinions of them because I'm not supposed to be influencing anyone else who is judging and might be watching this video. But if you would like to hear my preliminary thoughts on this book and the 5 others I'm judging these last 2 months, I will link to a video down below as well as more information on the BookTube Prize. So that about covers it for me. I actually have to get moving very quickly. I have somewhere to be, and one of those places ultimately will be work because, of course, now feeling better. I missed the Gaithersburg Book Festival, but I'm not missing work today, but I guess I gotta move on with life here. And I have things to look forward to this week. A lot of writing group related things, in fact, that, I'm feeling better, so I don't think I should have any problems. And on that note, you should see me next on this channel for my monthly AuthorTube video, where I answer questions that J.D. Archer and his writing group created and are part of the AuthorTube community. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I hope you are all feeling healthy, and, I should, end this by saying after the big pandemic of COVID that it's very fortunate that I had such a mild case and that it also doesn't impact my life too significantly. I've been more impacted during the pandemic when I didn't have COVID, but had something else, but had to still, isolate for longer. So anyway, there's that. And yes, thanks so much for watching, everyone. And I'll see you next time.